I just got back from Tanzania. I went to Kigoma, and it's just a small region on the west side of Tanzania. And I spent a month there. I went with Open Door Enterprise, and they do a lot of well drilling and stuff there, but we went and did a lot of vacation Bible school with the kids and did a lot of door-to-door evangelizing. This is a picture of the team that I went with. The two adults on the left side are Don and Sarah Reed. They're kind of head up Open Door Enterprise for the Houston area. The girl on the bottom right was our group leader. Her name's Stacy Rogers, and she's been working with them for about 10 years now. And then the three boys in the picture are actually still over there. They're going to stay there until at least December and just continue doing mission work there with Don and drilling wells and stuff like that. So, the very first day that we got into Kigoma, we had a kid crusade, and basically we just told the pastor of our church to let all the kids know that we would be there at 4 o'clock. And right when we got there were about 300 kids there, and then they just kept showing up and showing up and showing up. And pretty soon there were close to 600 kids inside and all the way around the building. So we acted out a Bible story and told them a little bit about how it would apply to their life, and then just went outside and played with them for like an hour and a half. Cool. So, the very first church that we worked with was Free Pentecostal Church of Tanzania, and there are actually quite a few of those established in the Kigoma region. Pastor Zachariah is the man that we worked with closely there. And what happened was in the mornings we'd wake up around 6 and eat breakfast and then plan for the day. And we'd get there at about 10, meet up with members from the church and our translators and split up into groups of two to four people and just walk around the village. And the members of the church would let us know where was a good place to stop and where wasn't. And we just went door to door and talked to the people there. And the other picture here is of us eating lunch with all of the translators. We ate with them every single day that we worked with them, and so it was good to spend time with them and get to know their background and where they came from and stuff like that. So this is a picture or a video of the kids worshiping in a village that we went to. The way they worship there is so much different than it is here. They actually will cover their faces when they worship or lay down on the ground and have their faces touching the ground. And some of the translators that work with the kids full-time there actually work with them on humbling themselves when they pray and worship to God. And so I was just trying to share a taste of what it's For 3 days we worked at Joy in the Harvest, and we did a kids camp there, and we actually had someone sponsor money to buy shirts for every single child that attended the camp. And so what we did was split up into small groups with the kids, and they got to go to arts and craft, and we made the helmet of salvation, and then they got to go learn an American dance from two of us. And then they also got to go to an English class there as well. And so this was an awesome opportunity for us because we didn't get to know a lot of the kids too terribly much most of the time we were there because we traveled from village to village so much. So it was nice to have a small group and really get to know them and stuff. And some of these pictures are showing us working with the kids. We played soccer with them. We taught them how to play crab soccer, and then we played three-legged soccer with them one day as well. And we also took time to individually pray over sick children, and so we put them in the middle of a circle and we all laid our hands on them and prayed out loud all at the same time for those kids, and just asked God to heal them of their malaria or whatever sickness they were suffering from. This is a picture of Joy in the Harvest, the building that we worked in. A lot of the people from our church actually went there a few years ago and helped build the roof, so this is a completed picture of the building that they helped. And it was an amazing building, and that's where we had our kids camp at, so we were blessed to have that done by the time we got there. We actually went to a place called Kaziba next, and we had to take a 4-hour boat ride up the lake, and on the way there it was pretty calm, so it was a nice ride. But on the way back, we went home in the afternoon, and it was an awful trip. The waves were really choppy, and we were just in a really tiny wooden boat. But on the way there, the kids saw us coming up the lake, so they would just start running down the beach to where they knew we would be docking. And so there's a picture of a group of them just standing there waiting to see us. And so when we were there, the day we got there, we got to work with the kids, and we went and had a youth session. So again, we told them a Bible story and helped them learn a memory verse, and then just spent time with them. And then later that day, we had a youth meeting, and so we acted out a skit and talked to them about sin and forgiveness, and how the grace of God can take their sins away from them and wash them clean of that. And then the next day we had a Sunday service where one of our boys preached, and then we went home that day. So. This are some pictures from the destitute camp, and that's where there are orphans, widows, and lepers. They stay there because they kind of get outcast and shunned from a lot of their homes. And so we went there and just got to spend time with the kids and the people there. And we did puppet shows and acted out some skits. And while the kids absolutely loved it, the elders staying there absolutely loved it as well. And so they had a lot of fun watching the kids help us act out some of the skits. And they just really liked watching us play with the children. We played Bada Bada Cuckoo, which is Duck Duck Chicken, with the kids there. And we played that for at least 45 minutes. And they absolutely just loved being loved on, and the fact that we were willing to spend time with them, because this isn't something that normally happens for them. So they were very excited to have us there, and the elder people loved spending time with us as well, and they led us in praise and worship. And even though these people are some of the people that have the very least over there, they were definitely some of the most happy people that we came into contact with. So it was definitely one of my favorite things that we did while we were there.
I remember that.
The next place we went was Kibirizi, and this is a village that has a church there, but what they were trying to do is plant churches on two outer sides of it. The two villages that we went to are heavily Muslims population, and so we went to the first village and we did a kids crusade just the very first day, and a Bible study for some of the members of the church to encourage them and help guide them with evangelizing, and just trying to encourage them to get the church started there and to reach out to people. And then the second day we were able to do another kids camp, but then we also went door to door to meet with some of the people there, and we really tried to work just to get people to open their hearts to the idea of God. And we really didn't make very many conversions that day, but we truly believe that we planted seeds that God will later bring to harvest. The next village that we went to that was along with Kibirizi was so populated Muslim that they didn't want us to do door to door, just because they felt like people wouldn't be very responsive to that. So what we did was just kid crusades both of the days that we were there. And the second day we actually walked down a mountainside to go find more kids, and we walked past a mosque. And on the way back we were bringing probably 50 or 60 kids with us, and we were passing a mosque that had just gotten out of session. And so they were all lining the streets just watching us walk by with these kids. And I think a few of us had our hearts skip a beat there for a minute, because we were a little nervous that they were going to come take some of the kids away from us. But we were able to bring all of them back with us. And we even had a few Muslim kids show up after we had already started. They kind of snuck in the back and just watched. So that was awesome to know that they were wanting to hear what we had to say, and that they were willing to kind of go against probably what their parents wanted them to do, to just hear us out. So that was awesome. The missionaries in Kigoma have meetings once a week on Wednesdays, and it's basically just a time where all the missionaries can get together and send out prayer requests to one another, and then just have a Bible study and really connect together on what they've been doing and stuff like that. But 2 of the 3 weeks that we were there, we were in charge of taking care of the kids during the session. They have the kids leave and go to a different room so that they can have adult time, sort of. So we helped the kids out, and we split them up because of the age difference, and the younger ones were told a Bible story, and then they had to look at a bunch of pictures and put them in the order of the Bible story that they were just told. And then we actually got the opportunity to talk to the teenagers as well. That was the group I was a part of, and it was just awesome to hear some of their testimonies and talk to them and really just let them talk to other Americans, because they miss out so much on interacting with people their own age. And so we just talked to them and really tried to explain to them that even though their parents are the ones being missionaries there, that God is calling them to do something while they're there. Even though they don't feel like they're the missionaries, that they really truly do have a purpose while they're in Africa. So we really just tried to encourage them to ask God what it was that he wanted them to be doing while they were there. So it was an awesome opportunity to talk to them and really get to know a lot of them and what they struggle with and stuff like that.
Cool.
We were pretty much busy from sun up to sundown every day. Like I said, we got up early so we could plan and all of that, and then we came home and then had to cook dinner, and then it was dark by the time we were done eating dinner, so we didn't have a whole lot of free time, but we did get to experience quite a bit. In the top left picture there, I'm trying to carry a bucket of water on my head because, as you may know, it's very cultural for the women to carry anything and everything on their head. It's not limited to buckets of water. We saw women carrying roller luggage on top of their heads, and we also saw a woman carrying a keyboard on top of her head up rocks to a village. And another picture there is of us in a dala, which is the public transportation there. And it seats 13, but it holds around 24. So you really get in close with people on the rides. And so it was just fun to get to experience their culture and really just learn and try to connect with them on a level that they understood. We really cared about them, and we were willing to experience what they experience. And so while we were there, we followed their dress code, and all of us girls wore long skirts and always had shirts with sleeves and everything like that, because we didn't want to seem disrespectful and or hypocritical, because a lot of, when you talk to Muslims, they look at what you're wearing and they say, well, how can you worship a God and be dressed like that? You know, how can God want you to dress like that? So we definitely had a little bit of culture arranging to do so that we would be more accepted there. And so that was definitely a challenge as well. Our very last day there, we got to have all of our translators over and just kind of hang out with them and talk about what some of our favorite times were. And it was really just awesome to have everybody together one last time and relaxing, just enjoying one another's presence. And so we got to worship and sing together, and then also pray together. And that was another one of my really favorite parts about being there. When they pray all at once, and everybody prays out loud. And it's not like in America where we take turns praying, and then some people don't pray, and some people dominate prayer. But here, the very first time we actually prayed all together, we were standing in a circle before we went door to door, and someone was like, okay, let's bow our heads and pray. So I bowed my head, and then everybody started talking out loud, and it just really hit me. And it was just an awesome feeling, because you can feel God's presence when people truly open up and pray like that. One of the things that we learned while we were there is to be free. That's what the translators always would tell us, be free, and we didn't understand it at first. But then we realized that as Americans and our culture here, we don't express ourselves in the same way. Some of us will lift our hands when we worship or when we pray, but there, they don't care who hears them or what they look like. They just worship God and express themselves however they feel like they need to. And so that was definitely something I learned there, was just to be free and just like let myself go and experience it. Another thing I want to talk to you about was some of the door-to-door experiences that I had. One of the very first days we went out, I actually didn't do much talking because I've never done door-to-door evangelizing before, so it was a little overwhelming, but they sent me out with one of our leaders and then a young man who had just finished seminary school, so I had great examples to listen to. But the second day that we went out,